Tonight we're going to be doing kind of a baller version of egg roll in a bowl. So we'll go over the ingredients. We've got red cabbage that we sliced on a Japanese mandolin. If you don't know what one of those are, check it out. They're very handy. We've got lime, red and yellow pepper, jalapeno, scallion, some broccoli, some minced garlic, Napa cabbage. I always have some butter. And then what we did was we made the sauce ahead of time so we can just pour it all in together, because it does have a few strange ingredients, and we'll go over those. So, alternative sweets, classic ketchup, always great to add a little bit of sweetness, obviously ketchup type of flavor. We've got the toasted sesame oil. Go very sparingly on this because it is very potent. Sambal leek is a spicy chili paste that I use a ton. Fish sauce, coconut aminos, and a little bit of rice wine vinegar. In addition to that, we're going to season everything up with this Asian zing spice from Dax Spices. This kind of is like a Chinese 5-spice. It's got some sesame, a couple other things in there, and it's really tasty, so you can check that out. Now for the meat, we're going to be using some filet mignon. This was left over from when I cleaned and butchered a whole filet, and we kept that chain, which is that little kind of fatty piece on the side that you don't normally serve with filet mignon. But I freeze it and then slice it up really thin, and then keep it for when I want to make stir fry or something like this. So that'll be there. And then we have some shrimp. I peeled and deveined these, also portioned them out in a baggie. So this is about 15 minutes worth of prep just to get everything done. But now we've got our pan and we're going to start cooking. So stick around. Okay, so we're ready to get started. We're going to turn on the heat, and we're going to be cooking on high almost all the time unless I specify otherwise. I'm used to restaurant cooking. You don't cook anything over medium heat in a restaurant. So I'm going to start out by adding some butter to the pan. I like to use butter just because as it cooks and heats up, it gets a little bit of a nutty flavor, and who doesn't love butter anyway? So, like I said, we're going to add that in, let it melt, let the pan get a little hot, and then we are going to start with our beef. So the butter's melted. It's just starting to get a hair of a tint of brown from that blonde color. So we're going to go ahead and add the beef in. And kind of spread it around a little bit. We're also going to add the shrimp. The goal is to try to get everything down so it's touching as much surface area so it cooks evenly as possible. So I got the shrimp over there, they're all taken care of. And then the slices of beef, I'm going to move around a little bit and let them sit here. If anything sticks to the pan, it's not a big deal. That's all going to get scraped up anyway, and browning food always gives you a nice flavor anyway, so it's not a big deal. So we're just going to let this cook for a minute, and then we'll add some of the vegetables. So as you can see, I just flipped everything. The shrimp cook incredibly quick, and since we don't want to overcook anything, I've already flipped them over. The steak has still got some red in it, which isn't a big deal because as the dish goes, it'll cook, and I don't mind mid-rare steak anyway. I'm going to add the broccoli first because broccoli is one of the harder vegetables. Now I blanch my broccoli ahead of time so you got that pretty green color, and it does help get the ball rolling. I'm going to add the garlic to the center, and I use a ton of garlic. Use whatever you like. I'm very afraid of vampires, so this protects my home. So the rule with vegetables whenever you're cooking stir fry, in my opinion, is that you want to cook the harder vegetables first. So things like the broccoli are going to go first. Things like the cabbage are going to go at the end because they obviously take less time to cook. Now, you can throw everything in. It's not going to screw up anything, but if you want to be a little bit more precise and elevate your game a little bit, a few of these little steps may help you out. So, got everything going. Broccoli is in the pan. I'm going to go ahead and add the bell peppers. Now for me, there's nothing I hate worse than mushy vegetables. I like everything al dente. So just tossing these around and letting the residual heat from the dish heat and cook the vegetables is enough for me. If you want mushy vegetables, go ahead and throw everything in a little sooner. That's all up to you. So basically, we're already moving along pretty well. At this point, we can kind of just start folding everything together. All those flavors can start combining. Forgot to mention that I also threw in the jalapenos. They're pretty much in the same ballpark with the bell peppers as far as cook doneness. So, now basically, what we're going to do at this point is add our sauce. And a lot of these vegetables are going to release water, so you don't need too much sauce. But you can also judge, if you think you have too much sauce, you can kind of turn up the heat, maybe reduce it down a little bit, or do whatever you need to do. You can take it out if you think you have too much, but normally it's not a big deal either way. So, got the vegetables all tossed together, or, sorry, the vegetables and the meats. And then, what we're going to do, we're also going to use a lime. Now, a little easy trick to remember, take the lime, put it in here, and then squeeze. You'll get everything out of the lime. So I'll show you one more time. Take your tongs, put the lime right in the center like that. Okay? And then just press down in between. And you got everything. Now if you're going to use a lemon, just have the seeds pointing upward when you squeeze, and they'll kind of rise to the top and you can just toss them away, but you'll still have the juice fall down. So we got a nice sauce going right here. And believe it or not, this dish is almost done already, because I'm only going to cook this cabbage for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're done. So the harder of the two cabbages is definitely going to be the Napa cabbage, or not the Napa cabbage, the red cabbage. So we're going to add that in. Again, just kind of toss that together. You don't have to use two kinds of cabbage. I like the color, I like the texture, so, and I had some on hand from a different recipe I was doing the other day. So, again, these egg roll in a bowl dishes are fantastic ways to clean out your fridge. So I highly recommend doing that. Just whatever you got. If you got zucchini, you got some squash, throw it in. So now, see, this is already, because we sliced it so thinly on that Japanese mandolin, it's already starting to soften up. So it's going to be just tender, but still have a little crunch and a little texture to it. So, again, now we're going to add the Napa cabbage. If you notice, what I do with the Napa cabbage is this is all the stem side. I keep the leaves for things like lettuce cups and things like that. But what I do is I cut it about halfway down so that I have the stem part, which are a little bit crunchier, a little bit more fibrous, so you wouldn't want to maybe eat them in a lettuce cup. And I use those in stir fries and things like this. So, we are moving along nicely. And you might have noticed that I haven't seasoned anything yet. So, right at the end, what I like to do is toss everything around, get everything nice and combined. Pretty much done. I'm going to add the scallions, that's the final thing. And then now, I'm going to add my seasoning. So, there's no point in really adding it in early. I feel like the seasoning at the end almost helps thicken and tighten up the dish. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to add one last pat of butter. Now we're not going to add the pat of butter until we turn off the heat. So we do that so that the butter will basically melt and incorporate into the sauce, helping it thicken and helping it get that nice velvety shine. But if you cook it with the sauce or with the pan on, it will end up breaking the butter and you'll have a kind of a broken, greasy sauce. And that's not pretty, frankly. So, I'm going to turn everything off. This is done to my liking. I'm going to add in that pat of butter, basically create a little well in the middle, right there, and just start swirling it around right in that little hole in the center that we put. Spinning, spinning, spinning. And as you can see, it's just melting, but it's not sizzling away and breaking into like a greasy mess. And then we can just incorporate everything around it. And we've got ourselves a perfect dinner. It only took a few minutes. Have some leftover for meal prep if you want. But that's it. So, baller egg roll in a bowl with filet mignon and shrimp. A lot of mixed veggies. If you like this video, please comment, let me know. I try to help everybody out in the community. If there's something I can provide as far as cooking tips or ingredients or questions about anything, just hit me up.